Perhaps another time, my father chuckled, after missing my wedding, even though I covered flights, hotels, and outfits for everyone. So I ensured they'd feel the consequences. I arranged and paid for my parents' travel, accommodations, and attire so they could be at my wedding. Not a single one showed up. Maybe next time, my father laughed over the phone. We couldn't miss your sister's brother-in-law's poetry event, my mother explained casually. I didn't argue. Instead, I wrote something of my own, and by morning, their shouts echoed. Someone once told me a wedding day is meant to be the happiest, a radiant blur of blooms, joy, and affection. That's what I pictured when I began planning mine. I secured the venue well in advance, a charming, affordable rooftop terrace adorned with twinkling lights. I meticulously chose the menu, ensuring vegetarian dishes for my sister and sparkling wine for my mother. I even shifted the wedding closer to my hometown to make it convenient for my family to attend. When they said they couldn't afford it, I trusted them. Naturally, I did. I offered to help. When they still hesitated, I paid for everything. Flights, hotels, even their clothes. I covered it all, including for my sister's husband so she wouldn't travel alone. I convinced myself it was worth it, that family shows up when it matters. I didn't realize their idea of showing up was entirely different from mine. On the wedding morning, I woke early. My childhood friend, who once swapped Pokemon cards with me on the curb, texted that he and his partner had arrived safely, having funded their own travel and stay. No fuss, just excitement to be there. Meanwhile, I kept checking the airline app for my family's flight. It landed on time. Good, I thought. They're on their way. In the dressing room, I glanced out the window every few minutes, like an anxious teen waiting for a prom date. The officiant arrived at 3 o'clock, offering a warm smile. Just checking if we're ready, she said. Maybe a few more minutes, I replied. They might be stuck in traffic or their phones died. I called, straight to voicemail. I tried again. No answer. The makeup artist finished my hair. The photographer snapped soft shots of my bouquet by the window. I smiled for the lens, checking my phone again. Nothing. At 3:30, my best friend knocked gently and poked his head in. They're asking if you want to start. My throat tightened. My father was supposed to walk me down the aisle. He'd promised. 5 more minutes, I whispered, forcing a strained smile. He nodded, stayed with me, and ignored my trembling hands. I called again. Voicemail? Then, at 3:37, my phone rang. Mom's number. I grabbed it so fast I nearly dropped it. Hey, sweetie, she said brightly. Sorry, we couldn't make it. I blinked, confused. What happened? She laughed like I was being silly. Your sister's brother-in-law had a poetry reading. It meant a lot to him, and she didn't want to go alone. You know how family is. I stayed silent. Her voice grew chirpier. You get it, right? In the background, my father's voice, amused. Maybe next time. There I stood in my wedding dress, makeup perfect, bouquet in hand, processing that my parents chose a poetry reading over my wedding, not even my sister's event, but her husband's brother's. They didn't bother to tell me. They let me wait, worry, assume they were lost or hurt until the music was supposed to start. They let me pay for everything, let me rearrange my wedding to suit them, and it still wasn't enough. At 3:45, I pocketed my phone and took a deep breath. My best friend stood by, ready to steady me. Will you walk me down? I asked, voice shaky. Without hesitation, he smiled. Of course. So I walked, arm in arm with the boy who built tree houses with me and once helped me stitch a Barbie dress when my sister mocked me. The ceremony went on, vows spoken, rings exchanged, guests clapped, some cried. I smiled until my face hurt, until it felt like a mask. At the reception, I laughed at toasts, cut the cake, and danced with my new husband under the lights I'd hung myself. But inside, something cold and sharp settled in my chest. That night, after the guests left and the hotel room door clicked shut, I sat at the desk by the window, opened my laptop. My husband approached, still in his suit jacket. Are you sure about this? He asked. I nodded, eyes on the screen. Yes. He paused, then said softly, Once you send it, there's no going back. I looked at him, smiling genuinely for the first time that day. Tomorrow everything changes. I hit send and didn't look back. They say your wedding night should be about looking forward, new beginnings, hope, love. I tried. But even as I curled up with my husband under the hotel's heavy blankets, my sister lingered in my thoughts, and all the years leading to this moment. She was 3 years older, worlds apart. In high school, she was magnetic. Designer clothes, glossy hair, a laugh that made you feel special just standing near her. But she wasn't kind. Not to those who didn't fit, not to me. I saw it in the hallways, a smirk, a whisper, sometimes a fake cough when someone passed in secondhand shoes. It was so polished you might miss it. But I didn't. I saw it when she laughed at me. My parents called her selective. She has standards, my mother said when I came home crying after being excluded again. Toughen up, my father added. Not everyone's meant to shine. As if I was at fault for not sparkling like her. I was different, happy with a few close friends, books over makeup, sewing science fair posters while she partied. They stopped expecting anything from me and poured everything into her. She was their star, homecoming queen, destined for greatness. Her every win was a family triumph, her every cruelty, just growing up. When she bullied a girl so badly she changed schools, my parents shrugged. Teenage drama, they said. Girls can be mean. When I earned a college scholarship, they barely blinked. You're the quiet one, my mother said vaguely, like that explained it all. I learned early. Their love was conditional, loud for her, silent for me. It showed up for flash, not effort. When I stopped chasing their approval, they stopped seeing me. As adults, the gap widened. My sister glided through life like it was her stage. Internships she didn't earn, jobs she didn't keep. Every fall, my parents were her safety net, praising, funding, excusing. I worked, night shifts, running my online shop, paying rent while they called me lucky to live at home, ignoring that I covered half their mortgage. Then I met him, my husband. Older, steady, the first in years to see me, not through me, even with my sister around. He asked about my work, listened without cutting me off. He made me feel enough. I fell deeply. When my sister met him, I saw her spark of interest, her smile too wide, leaning too close, twirling her hair. Later, she tried to meet him without me, sent casual texts to hang out. He declined politely, and that should have ended it. It didn't. She ran to our parents, crying, claiming she saw him first. Never mind her boyfriend. Never mind he was never hers. They sided with her, as always. Think of your sister's feelings, my mother said. Family comes before some guy, my father added. No one asked how I felt. No one cared. Her fallback became her husband. Wealthy, reliable, generous. Perfect for someone who cared more about status than love. Behind closed doors, she mocked him. I settled, she'd say. He's dull, but loaded. I heard it all. Her affairs, her boasts after drinks. My parents laughed it off. Marriage is messy, my mother said. Men are sensitive, my father added. Let her have fun. But I wasn't cleaning up her mess this time. Someone deserved the truth, not quiet humiliation like I'd endured. Maybe it wasn't vengeance. Maybe it was loyalty to someone who'd been used, like me. I shut my laptop, exhaled. Tomorrow would be different, and I wouldn't apologize. I woke to my phone buzzing wildly on the nightstand. Half asleep, I saw missed calls. 6 from home, 3 from my mother, 2 from an unknown number that felt ominous. I didn't answer. I pulled the blanket over my head, letting the hotel's AC hum drown it out. New rule, if it's urgent, they can text. Texts followed. Call us now. What did you do? Fix this. I set the phone face down, ignoring the rest. My husband stirred, hair tousled, ring glinting in the morning light. Everything okay? He mumbled. Family drama, I said, yawning. Must be Tuesday. He chuckled, diving back under the covers. By mid-morning, I got a hint from my cousin, who's as tactful as a brick. Heard your sister's husband bailed. Family's losing it. Bailed. That's one way to say it. Over days, details trickled in like a half-finished puzzle. After the poetry reading, my sister's husband saw what I sent. Screenshots, recordings, proof his wife, whom he'd supported through failed jobs and broken promises, mocked him, cheated, never valued him. No immediate fight, just silence, the dangerous kind. Soon, the fallout showed. He left quietly, filed for divorce by week's end. With him went the financial cushion my parents never admitted they leaned on. He stopped funding their business. Bills piled up. Excuses ran dry. It was like a faucet turned off. I made my own quiet moves. I canceled automatic payments I'd set up for their utilities, dental bills, car lease cosign. I unlinked my accounts, moved my savings somewhere safe where I wouldn't feel guilty using it. No announcement, no fights, just a silent exit. Financial ruin creeps slowly. Missed credit card payments, late invoices, suppliers calling instead of emailing, banks denying credit. It mirrored how they'd let their neglect of me fester. Small slights, betrayals, until the foundation crumbled. I spent evenings sitting with it, the quiet, the absence, the strange ache of breaking free from something I'd chased forever. I thought letting go of them would feel like falling off a cliff. It didn't. It was like untying a weight from my leg. I wasn't falling, I was floating. But it still hurt. Writing thank you notes to guests, I almost wrote one for my parents before remembering they weren't there. In a store, I reached for a mother of the bride frame, then stopped, as if my hand still believed they cared. A stranger said, "Your families must be so proud." And I laughed. They only backed their own egos. Surviving them gave me a dry, weary humor, like sipping bad coffee in a dingy diner at 2 a.m., grateful to be anywhere else. 2 weeks post-wedding, I found out I was pregnant. In the hotel bathroom, I stared at the test, back against the wall, heart pounding. Unplanned but not unwanted, earlier than expected. I sat on the cold tile, the world tilting. I told my husband. He grinned, pulled me close. "We're ready. You're ready." I believed him. I didn't tell my parents, not even when their texts begged for contact. Some joys don't belong to those who dim them. Some moments are too precious for those who'd use them as leverage. Their world unraveled. I didn't seek updates, but gossip found me. Cousins, neighbors, the family group chat buzzing with worry. Their business paused for renovations that never happened. Their house hit the market, disguised as downsizing. Invitations dried up, pity rolled in. No dramatic collapse yet, just a slow crack spreading through glass. They didn't come to my door. Not yet. That would come when pride couldn't outweigh desperation. When they did, it poured. Angry, sideways rain like the sky was throwing a tantrum. I was folding onesies. Mint green, soft gray, tiny yellow stars. When the doorbell rang 5 times, frantic. My husband and I exchanged a look. We knew. Through the peephole, my parents and sister, suitcases at their feet, soaked coats, forced smiles. I didn't open the door right away, just leaned against it, breathing. My husband touched my back. "We can call now," he said softly. "Not yet," I replied. "Some things you face before you burn them down." When I opened the door, they barged in, dripping water on the floor. My sister dropped her bag in the living room like she owned it. My father stood by the TV, claiming space. My mother nodded, expecting hospitality. "We're not leaving," my father said, voice hard. "Not until you fix this," my mother added. They demanded I call my sister's husband, say I lied, claim it was jealousy, a cruel trick. "You ruined us," my mother shouted. "You shamed us," my father said. "Fix it, or else," my sister snapped. Their voices tangled, anger, fear, desperation. I stood there letting it roll off me. I wasn't their daughter then, just a tool, a transaction. They kicked a broken machine, hoping for candy. My father made it clear, "If you don't help, we're staying." My mother talked about splitting rooms. My sister dragged her bag toward the guest room, claiming it. I laughed, not for humor, but absurdity. They thought I was still the girl they could steamroll. "You're trespassing," I said calmly. They stared, stunned. "You invited us," my mother insisted. "I never gave you my address," I replied. My husband was already on the phone, voice steady, handling it. My father loomed. "You don't call cops on family?" I smiled thinly. "Funny, I thought family doesn't ditch you on your wedding day." Silence, heavy and ugly. Fear flickered in my mother's eyes. 15 minutes later, a knock. 2 polite officers. I showed my ID, the lease in our names only. They asked my family to leave, let them pack quietly. My sister screamed I was cruel, destroying our family. My mother sobbed. My father muttered threats. But they left, dragging wet bags into the rain under the officer's watch. I sank onto the couch, exhausted. My husband sat beside me, silent, warm. The baby kicked, a reminder. This was family now. We moved again, farther, to a life we wanted. No address shared, only trusted friends knew. My best friend and his partner visited, bringing us silly gifts, stories of late-night diners in new cities. I built the life I'd hoped for with my parents. Simple, supportive, unconditional elsewhere, better. Word came through distant cousins. My parents' house sold at a loss, their business gone. My sister couch surfs, blaming everyone but herself. I didn't reach out, not during the divorce, the bankruptcy, or their dry, bitter social media posts. I thought cutting them off would feel like losing a limb. It didn't. It was like standing after realizing I wasn't broken, just in the wrong seat. I keep a mint green onesie tucked in a drawer, the first I bought, too sacred to share with them. My child will never think love is earned by utility. Never feel small in her home, never doubt what family means, and they'll never know her name. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, sending that message, cutting them off, calling the police. But I remember the girl who kept forgiving, kept hoping. I didn't go too far, they just never thought I'd go anywhere. What's your take? Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.